I want to thank everyone for coming out today. This is a bittersweet moment. I get a sense that the rest of the community does not think that this is something worth being here for. The violence that we are affected with or the norm in our communities, in our households, is definitely the reason that we are here today. It's worth getting out of your house. It's worth not going to school. It's worth not going to work. This is the place to be right now. While everything that's going on in the world, we should be speaking out on this violence, this criminal activity, and this poverty that we are being affected with. Today, I stand before you. If no one happens to be in the crowd who knows me, my name is Jessel. This is my neighborhood, and I am your brother. A lot of the times, we call each other names like dog, nigger, and a lot of profane things. But I'm here to say that I'm your brother. And with being your brother comes a responsibility. That means that your mother is my mother. That means that your sister is my sister. That means that your child is my child. I am presently one of the community members who will not bat an eye when it comes to the negativity that I see in the neighborhoods and when it comes to correcting them. Far too often, like Ms. Delphine said, our children are walking around like they don't have a care in the world, like they don't have a clue. I stand to tell you today that I am a changed man. I may have not been the gentleman who walked around with his pants sagging, but I am that guy who was smoking and joking. I am that guy who was with woman after woman, day after day. I'm that guy who sold drugs on these corners, right out here, right outside this schoolyard. You might say that, no, not my brother Jessel, not that brother. No, that's not the brother that I am today. I want to let y'all know that I am thankful and grateful to be a representative of this neighborhood for the past 4+ years. On a consistent basis, I have been giving of myself. Day after day, I've been in the neighborhood making sure that I have an opportunity to give back on behalf of all that I have taken from this neighborhood. And it was an embarrassment. It was a great embarrassment for me and my family for all of the things that I've been involved in, negative-wise, in the past. And I took time out of my life to say that I care. I want to say that I brought some people today to speak alongside of me. These are my brothers in faith, and they are my family as well. I want to make sure that I tell you today some of my experiences with violence. In the year 2013, I was a victim of gun violence. A teenager, right in this very neighborhood, pulled a gun on me and shot me. And the reason I'm here today is because the Almighty God didn't take my life. Anybody who thinks that they can take the life of someone else does not love themselves. I stood in a jail cell and I had to ask myself, did I love myself? That was one of the most pivotal moments in my life, to ask myself, did I love myself? For all that I did in the past and all that I was experiencing at that time did not reflect love for myself. I challenge each and every one of you today to question yourselves whether you love yourself. Look at each other. And look at each other as if that is you. For we say we are a reflection of one another. And as I started, your mother is my mother. Your sister is my sister. Your brother is my brother. And I am your brother. And I want you to love yourself as you love one another. I want to share a time when the police, and I'm going to say it like that, the police And this is just one time that I'm sharing, because I've had multiple incidents with the police, run-ins with the police authority. Not because I was a hothead, although I was a hothead, but because someone else agitated the police. So they took their frustration out on me, displaced anger. And that's something that we might fall victim to. So that's why it's most important to dress appropriate. Pull your pants up, black man and woman. Even the women got their pants sagging, they got their butt out. They got all this out. I remember not that long ago, I made a remark out in the streets of Susquehanna Avenue. There was a double homicide on this very street in the 1600 block of Susquehanna Avenue, and a vigil with a much smaller crowd than this on the night. And someone said, well, how could this homicide happen with the police station right there? And I just happened to be walking by, and I made the remark, that's not a police station, that's Charles Ramsey's lunchbox. And that's how I felt. And someone out the crowd said, you can't say that. They'll lock you up. And I turned back and I said, for what? For saying that that's Charles Ramsey's lunchbox and not a police station? And I went into the store. Not 2 minutes being in the store, I was surrounded by police officers, taunting me, saying, say it again, say it again. And not knowing that it was a bunch of police officers behind me, I turned, and before I know it, I was beat and hauled off to prison. And that's not the first, and that wasn't the last time that I was assaulted by police officers. And ironically, that same building that I called Charles Ramsey's lunchbox, I am privileged to organize out of on behalf of you in the community. Right up the street, you may see signs on the door, 1631 Susquehanna Avenue. And that's where we are organizing out of. The organization is North Central Philadelphia, Susquehanna, Registered Community Organization. We're also a community development corporation, among other things. We give out food on a regular basis. We have resources. And we want you to come out and support us because it's all about you. It's very little to do with me. And I am here today on behalf of you and the community. This has nothing to do with me. I'm just blessed to be able to stand here and talk to you. Because like I said, I was shot in both of my legs by a young man who did not love himself. He did not love me. And I want you to take time out for each and every young person that you see. Show them some love. These are young people who are walking these streets of Philadelphia who have not got a kiss and a hug since they were a baby. They don't know what it is to be loved. We got to reteach love.
That's right.
Love is not purchasing them things. I grew up with the merit system. If I did something right, if I got a good grade in school, I got a reward. I understand that, but these children don't know that. And they're hungry. Some of the things that they do is because they just haven't had an adequate meal. And I'm not going to take up a whole lot of your time. I want to thank you. Please, I'm very approachable if you see me in the community, and else otherwise, I might not have the best expression on my face, because like I said, I haven't had the best of an experience in life. There's a lot of aspirations and dreams that I have for myself, and they're just not attainable as I would like them to be. So what I do is I take time out of my life to put a smile on someone else's face, and in return, that helps me smile. So if you have an opportunity to help me put smiles on other people's faces, then you're helping me smile. I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity. And behind me, I want you to welcome this brother. I want you to welcome this brother with opening arms. This is my young brother in the ministry. His name is David Hassan. Please give him a round of applause. Please help me. Come on, clap it up, y'all. Please. Thank you so much. Thanks, family. How y'all doing today? All right, all right. Let us give Brother Jessel and Sister Dell a round of applause. Seriously, family. The courage that it takes to get up here, not just to speak, but to speak against this problem that we have in our community that we must acknowledge. We're out here today on behalf of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to extend the love that he has had for us. So many of us were lost in the world without love, without fathers, without mothers, without family. And in the umbrella of the Nation of Islam and the love that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan extends to us, we see it as a sign and a symbol that God still has love in us, or for us. He still has faith in us, and he's not going to let us go, even though we seem to let each other go a little too easily. Family, we have work to do in our community, is that right? That's right. The police are not going to solve our problems, right? The city of Philadelphia is not going to solve our problems. The governor is not going to solve our problems. We must solve our problems today. Is that right? Let's clap it up for problem solvers. But we must acknowledge, as brother was saying, our children are the victims in this problem. And before I bring our brother up, I just want to stress family. Our children are not the problem. Our children are the victims. Because the black family was destroyed. We must acknowledge this. But now it is our responsibility as real men and real women to work to repair, to restore, and for the lack of a better word, resurrect this black family. But it's us, brothers, the black man, and for every black male I see out here, I salute you, because there's not enough of us out here. We are out here constantly at rallies in all parts of the city. This is my third city since I've been in the Nation of Islam. It's not something exclusive to Philadelphia, but it's usually women up on this stage. I salute our sister Dell. I can feel her pain, but I've seen this too often. It should be us up here.
That's right.
It should be us out in the community, black man.
Yes.
We got to lead the charge because it's us killing us. It's us selling drugs to us. It's 2 million or more of us in the prison, and over 85 to 90% of us that come out go right back in because we are a target. But it starts when we're babies. So let's show enough love for our children to get out and be protectors of them. Let's show enough love for our women to come home and be protectors of our women. And what you see up here are men and women who have decided to be part of the solution and not a part of the problem. So once again, let's give all of them a round of applause. And on behalf of the National Prison Reform Minister of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, Student Minister Abdullah Muhammad, I want to bring to this stage a hard-working brother who is working in and outside of the prison. He is our Student Regional Prison Reform Minister here, our brother Student Minister Gregory Muhammad. Let us bring him up with a round of applause. Family, assalamu alaikum.
Just trying to get the technology together here. We don't want to bring too much power to take away power. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah. And I bear witness that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is his Messiah. And I further bear witness that their true servant, divine reminder, and divine warner is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I greet you, my brothers and sisters, and I greet North Philadelphia with the greeting words of peace. We say it in the Arabic language, Assalamu alaikum. I want to thank Sister Dale Matthews, her husband, and all of the organizers who organized this event today against police brutality and violence. I want us to repeat after me. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. And we are fed up with our children being shot down senselessly by bad police officers. All police officers are not bad. We're talking about the bad police officers. And we want justice for those who they unjustly shot down. We want justice for Frank McQueen. We want justice for David Jones. We want justice for all of those who have been shot down and brutalized by the police anywhere across America. I would like to share with you a part of the Nation of Islam Muslims program. The reason why I want to share this with you is because the most honorable Elijah Muhammad had taught about the wickedness in this society and among the police and also public officials who do not have the citizens of their cities and this country in their best interests. They're in the office for a paycheck. They're not there to preserve or protect or serve the community. I want to just share one of the things that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad point out to the United States government and to the world under the Muslims program. And you have our brothers, the FOI, they're standing around you now, and they're carrying a paper called the Final Call newspaper. This is the publication of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam. On the inside last page of that beautiful black paper, the only black paper in America that actually prints the truth, the unadulterated truth, the raw truth, the real truth about everything that's going on in the black community, in the brown community, in every community in America, and what the Muslims want. He says in point number 6, we want an immediate end to police brutality and mob attacks against the so-called Negro throughout the United States. We believe that the federal government should intercede to see that black men and women tried in white courts receive justice in accordance with the laws of the land, or allow us to build a new nation for ourselves dedicated to justice, freedom, and liberty. Now, I want to ask you a question. Is enough enough? And if your answer is yes, then it's time for us to take back our communities and make our communities a more safe and decent place to live, and police our own community and monitor the police who are paid to protect and serve in our community. Are we ready to do that? Are we fed up? Are we ready to listen to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who is the only leader that's giving us the actual plan of action that we must take in order to do exactly what we're saying that we want to do, because enough is enough. I represent the Nation of Islam Prison Reform Ministry. Now that ministry is set up to address the needs of the prisoners in the prisons of America, particularly here in the Delaware Valley, here in Philadelphia. So I want you to know that our brothers and sisters who are incarcerated, they are human beings, not animals. And as long as you treat them as animals, then their behavior will reflect the way that you treat them. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, he spoke at the Million Man March. Do y'all remember the Million Man March? He said at the Million Man March that he wanted us to return to our cities and adopt a prisoner. He said because every human being can change. He said there is no human being that cannot change. So whatever sin or crime one commits, and he's taken into the prison to serve a sentence, which is his or her punishment, then justice has been served for the violation or the attack on the community by way of crime or whatever criminal act that caused them to be in prison. Now, since they are there, those who are the custodians and the stewardships over those prisoners, they have a responsibility to treat them with decency. Let's talk about the shooters on our streets. Most of the shooters on our streets, and I'm talking about black on black crime, brown on brown crime right now. These brothers who carry these guns, they're carrying the guns because of the lack of love, as Brother Jussel before me has so perfectly and excellently gave us a description of. When there is no love in the heart of a man, then he can only revert to his hatred of himself and hatred of his brother. So it makes it easier for him to kill his own brother. So now we have an opportunity to reach these brothers. So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said at the Million Man March, adopt a prisoner. How many brothers, just the brothers I'm speaking to right now, how many brothers out here this afternoon have adopted a prisoner? And if you have adopted a prisoner, please raise your hand. And if you haven't raised your hand, then it is time for us to get on the ball to saving our sons, our nephews, our grandsons. Let us adopt a prisoner, and let us not forget our sisters. Our sisters. Our sisters. We talk a lot about the brothers, but we forget the sisters who are incarcerated. And I'm so passionate about the sisters because of what my teacher, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, teaches me about our sisters. He says that our women are the co-creator of God. Y'all, did y'all hear that? He said that the women or the woman is the co-creator of God. How so? Because she creates both man and woman. The man only has the seed that is injected into the woman's womb that starts the process of developing and creating new life. The woman has that seed inside of her womb, and her mind, listen to me now, her mind is what shapes, form, and fashion that new life inside of her. So that means the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us, and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, that we must not abuse the woman. We must not hit a woman. Regardless of how angry we get, brother, you should never put your hand on a woman. And all of us maybe have some experience with putting our hands on a woman. We must not put our hands on that woman, because when she's carrying a baby, the hate for us goes down into her womb, and becomes a part of the thinking of that child. So that child now has been given a message to hate. And it makes it easier now for that child, particularly the male child, to grow and develop into adulthood and become insensitive to life. He becomes insensitive to himself and to other living beings. And I say living beings because we don't only kill each other, we kill the animals with no love. These are God's creatures, and we shouldn't kill anything out of hate. So our brothers who are inside of these prisons, who are serving 10 and 20 and 30 years, most of their sentences are unjust. They are sitting there with no love, and the DOC, which is the Department of Correction, I don't know how much correcting they're doing, and I can say that because I experienced that incarceration period. And I'm saying to you that they do not care about us. Michael Jackson said, they don't care about us. He was not wrong. And they haven't cared about us for over 400 years. So when a man is in prison and he's full of hate, full of bitterness, and then the day comes for that man to be released back into his community, he's coming back into the community with the hate and the bitterness because they weren't loved while they were incarcerated. That responsibility falls on us. So, the police sees that angry brother, and that brother, he has a certain walk. You know, we got this certain walk, and the way we walk gets attention. And the walk itself put fear in those who are cowards, because they're afraid to speak to a young man who's seeking guidance, who's seeking love, who's seeking an alternative to his destructive behavior. Do you really think that these young brothers want to be standing on the corner selling drugs? Now come on, you can't get a 501, you can't get, am I right, brother? You can't get a retirement plan, the 401k, you can't get a retirement plan, you don't have nothing coming. Y'all follow me? So why would he want to be on the corner selling drugs for the rest of his life? Think about that. So what is the solution to this young man selling drugs on our corners? Create jobs for them. Economics. That would be the starting point of resolving the problem of young men on the corners of Philadelphia or on the corners of any city that has no hope because they have got caught up in the criminal justice system that marks them for life. They didn't get a life sentence, but they're marked for life once you go through those doors. This is why the police are so insensitive, because they're sitting in conference rooms and they're listening to the sociologists and the psychologists that really need to analyze and examine and correct themselves, but they're trying to correct us that has no love and has no knowledge of the culture of black and brown people. You can't help someone you don't know about. You haven't lived in these communities. You haven't lived in what we call the hood. I'm not going to say ghetto because that belongs to somebody else.
Right.
We call it the hood. Thank you, young brothers, wherever you at, my hip-hop brothers. I like the hood. I'm 60 years old, so we heard ghetto. We're not the ghetto. We are hood. But we ain't no bad hood. We're a good hood. And in some cases, we may be what they call Robin Hood. No, but hear me out. Now, I ain't talking about taking nothing from nobody. I'm talking about taking back what belongs to us. Restoring ourselves to our community and to our nation as a people as we were before being kidnapped from the shores of Africa and brought here to America and stripped of it all. Let me share something with you. Then I think I better get off the mic. But let me share something with you. Jesus was somewhere and he was in solitude. His disciples were present and there were scribes and Pharisees around him. The scribes and Pharisees are the writers and the speakers of Scripture. And one day, they decided, because they wasn't in full agreement with Jesus, that they were going to bring a woman to him that they say was caught in the act of adultery. So they brought this woman. Jesus was bent down on the ground, and he was just like kneeling and meditating. They tapped him on the shoulder and said, Lord, we have a woman that we caught in the act of adultery. Jesus ignored them and continued in his thought, in his solitude. They tapped his shoulder a second time. And they said, Lord, we bring this woman who was caught in the act of adultery. And Jesus continued to ignore them. The third time, and remember they tapped him 2 times prior, the third time Jesus was already turning over in his mind what he was hearing. And why was they telling him this? They're his scribes, the writers, and his Pharisees, the speakers. They could be the pastor, the priest, the minister, the imam. And that third time, Jesus started writing on the ground. And when he lifted up, he said, let he without sin cast the first stone. After he said that, he rose up and turned around, and the Pharisees and scribes were no longer there, but the woman was standing alone. And Jesus said to the woman, Woman, where is thou accusers? And she said, they are not here. He said, go free and sin no more. When we repent from our sins, everything in our life that we did sinful has been wiped away. See, we've been deceived. We've been hoodwinked. We've been put we've been put in like, no, it's a deep sleep. We've been put in a hold where all you see is darkness. So you don't see hope. So once we commit this sin, we think that we can never change. And the system feeds that spirit that you will always be a criminal. And if the system is treating us this way, when we step out of the prison and we can't get employment because we were incarcerated, then why don't you think the police would just shoot us down in the street? And I'm talking about the bad police again. I'm not talking about the ones who are morally conscious, that heard the same conversation, that was in the same smoke-filled room of how to kill, excuse my language, niggas. Your son, your nephew, my nephew, your grandson, my grandson is a nigger that deserves to be dead. How many times do they shoot us when they shoot us? Look at the evidence. You shoot a person one time, especially without a weapon, he can't react back and fire a shot at you because he don't have a gun. But today we know they're planting guns. No, they shoot from 20, 30, 40, 50 rounds into the body of a small child because they have no love for us. But I'm here to tell you in conclusion that we do have someone that loves us. We do have someone who's fearless of this system, who is not a prostitute that is sold to the system not to expose the truth of what they're doing to our people and our community and this country. Brother Frank McQueen should be standing with us today. Brother David Jones should be standing with us today. Call out some names, y'all. Call out some names. They should be standing with us today. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan wants you to know that he is going to stand for us whether we stand for ourselves or not, and we have no fear for the future. Sister Dale, Brother Frank's blood cries from the earth for justice. Listen to this, please. If you're a religious person and you pray, when you're praying, it is like a cry to your Lord. You're crying to your Lord. You're asking him for something. No prayer to God goes unanswered. So all of those who were killed unjustly will receive justice. And we want to say justice for all and justice or else. And that or else is God's chastisement on those responsible for not serving justice for those who were senselessly killed on the streets of America. I thank you for listening, and I greet you as I greeted you with the words of peace and paradise. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you again, Brother Muhammad. Please keep the round of applause going as I bring up the next speaker, Ms. Sabrina Sample from the organization Post.
Peace, family. How y'all doing today? All right. We had a bunch of eloquent speakers. I'm a little bit different because I'm a millennial. I was born in 1993. Now, I could come up here and I could speak from the heart, but I did prepare something for you guys, so I'm going to be reading it off my phone if you guys don't mind. All right. My name is Sabrina Sample. I'm a social worker by trade, but I'm an activist by heart. I'm from the Cobbs Creek neighborhood of West Philadelphia. I want to thank my good friend, Ms. Dell, for inviting me here today, and I would like to thank you all for hearing me speak today. And on a beautiful Saturday where Klan members and new Nazis march across the United States, I want to honor Frank McQueen, who lost his life to the same brand of violence that those people are marching to uphold by delivering a message of togetherness. That's togetherness amongst black people. It feels good to be back at a mic in North Philly. I grew familiar with this part of the city when I moved here in 2011 to attend Temple University. In my sophomore year, I became fond of a young man who's from Maryland, but lived on 22nd and Burks. In 2012, that was the farthest from Broad Street that a student would ever live. Now, my mama certainly did not know that I was taking late night walks to his apartment from my dorm 2 and 3 times a week. And on those walks, I remember counting down the steps that I had left until I reached his doorstep. I remember feeling afraid too, and not like a typical student. The neighborhood looks, smells, and sounds the same as my own. But just the thought of being in an unfamiliar hood where I couldn't call a cousin or an uncle if something happened was unsettling to me. As a side note, I guess that means that love conquers all, because even that fear wasn't going to stop me from getting to that doorstep. I oftentimes wondered what the origin of that fear was. This is my city. The people that live here are just like me and mine. We speak the same language and we see life through the same rose-colored glasses. But even still, with all that sameness, the threat of violence hangs in the air throughout our neighborhoods like the stench permeating from the back of a garbage truck. It emerges on a hot day when the kids are playing and a young man crosses paths with another who did him wrong. It emerges over $5 lost in a gambling bet on 58th and Christian Street, and that was just the other night, by the way. It emerges like the swift backhand of an angry father across the face of his child's mother, the print of his knuckles latent on her cheek like memory foam. It emerges like the crack of a whip. You look in your rearview mirror and you see those blue lights flash and you know you're headed back to jail when all you wanted to do was feed your family with that ounce that's in your trunk. For the sake of time, I'll be brief and say that you cannot call yourself woke if you don't recognize that now is the time to come together as black people and eliminate the violence amongst ourselves. Now, when they've scared us into taking our hoods off, and they too have relinquished their white hoods and shown themselves across the country with an agenda to eliminate our kind, now is the time to protect each other. We cannot allow this system of white supremacy to pick off more brothers, more fathers, and more sons like Frank McQueen and like David Jones. No more mothers and daughters like Corinne Gaines, like Sandra Bland, like Ayanna Stanley, sleeping in her bed at night. No more can we afford to walk in fear in our own communities when the real and most devastating threat is gaining traction throughout our countries. That's all I got for y'all today. Whew. This is the first time that I addressed a crowd like this in over a year. I did a lot of community activism in this neighborhood when I was here at Temple, and I'm going to tell you that university is squeezing tight to the neck of this community here. And it doesn't matter how many faces are in this crowd, because today it may be 50, but tomorrow it could be 100, and the next day it could be 150, if you're not afraid to invite somebody out and then hold them to it to come out. I was at a gathering a couple of nights ago, some people from work. We had all got together and we were sitting, we were talking. And once somebody brought up the things that were going on in Charlottesville, the room grew dead silent. Right? During the turn-up, nobody wanted to talk about what was going on. And a lot of times it's too painful to hear. It's too painful to talk about. Sometimes you're embarrassed. It's not cool, right? I'm 23 years old. Folks my age and under, it's our time to act on this and to pick up when Ms. Dell is giving us that arm. I got my little daughter out here, she's 3 years old, right? And when I came up here, she was kind of yelling, screaming, "Mommy, mommy, mommy," because she's not used to being away from me that much, right? And this is speaking to community that I got a comrade out here who I haven't seen in over a year, who got her arm around my daughter, is making sure that she's okay. That's what we're capable of doing, family, right? Just like the brother said earlier, I am your sister. Your mother is my mother. Your daughter is my daughter, and your son is my son. And that's how we need to start behaving when we're walking around in these streets.
That's right.
God bless y'all, family.
God bless you too, Queen.
Next up, we have our brother Jeff from Fathers in Action. Please keep the warm round of applause going for our dear brother Jeff.
How's everybody doing? I know you're hot. I'm going to have to ask you that. I'm here today, to give honor, to brother Queen and Ms. Dell, Ms. D. I'm a little nervous right now. I've been listening to a lot of people talk up here on the stage, and the ministry that I've been given by God Almighty, through Jesus Christ, which I'm not ashamed of, is to come out and encourage fathers, young fathers, men of this community, to be accountable for your children, be accountable for yourselves, and for your family, whether you're non-custodial, custodial, whatever it is. You know, our organization called Fathers in Action is not a program. We're not out to fulfill any kind of religious or political agenda. We're basically here for families. That's what we do. We come and encourage fathers. We talk with fathers. We help fathers get through barriers that prevent them from doing any kind of justice in their families, because we've been through these barriers already. So basically, fathers can help fathers, and that's what we do. That's why we call it Fathers in Action, because there is no one father who knows it all. We all work together in this community to do what we have to do. My heart goes out to anybody that has lost a child or a family member to the violence in the streets. But also going back to the root of things. I always have to go back to my childhood, because I was in a gang. I was running around shooting at people